Hi, Tony. How are you?
Hi, Giorgio. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm writing down your name so I don't forget
Uh,
it.
it's written in the stars.
Yes, exactly.
Congratulations on everything that you do in this tour. I went to the last one and it was fantastic. I mean, just the amount of information you present, and it's such a fun thing to attend.
I'm so happy that you had the experience and to come and see it. And I always say it's a fun night out on the town for the whole family, and even for people who are not into it. Because first of all, it's a fun show. It's a little roller coaster ride around the world, exploring ancient and modern mysteries. And it's happened quite a few times where we meet some of the fans afterwards and they say, my wife, she was not a fan of the show or she was a skeptic, and tonight you guys made her a believer. And so, I say come check it out and you might learn something, and if not, that's okay too, but you had a fun night out in the town. And so what's more awesome than that?
I imagine it's just a wonderful thing for you to meet your fans and talk, other worlds.
Well, it's Ancient Aliens Live is exactly that. It's giving something back to the fans because let's be honest, without the audience, we would not still be on the air. And so we got to thank the audience for keeping for keeping our lights on, and this is one way of giving back.
I have a question for you. There is this talk about this massive asteroid coming to Earth, A1 something. Um,
Atlas.
yeah, Atlas. What do you think? Is it a ship?
So this is an interesting question because this is something that Dr. Avi Loeb of Harvard University is following very, very closely. And he's the same guy that brought attention to the other asteroid a few years ago called Oumuamua. And there he too proposed that Oumuamua may have been some type of a probe because it is only logical. So Oumuamua was one of the first interstellar objects to enter our solar system. And the reason why he thinks it could be a probe is because all of these celestial objects have an orbit that you can track. Our astrophysicists can track this for millions of years, so we know exactly where all of these comets are at any given time. And so what's interesting about A3 Atlas right now is arriving around September 28th, that according to some people, it has changed trajectory a little bit and it has accelerated and decelerated in speed. Now, this is something allegedly. I am not an astronomer, so I'm only, trying to read their papers and trying to figure out what they meant. So that is uncommon behavior for a comet. So what could it be? So the idea that they could be probes is interesting because all you have to do then is put a probe or a drone type thing on top of any of these asteroids, and you know exactly where they're going, and they can record anything they want and send that back to their home planet. So is it possible that A3 Atlas has some type of extraterrestrial component to it? Of course, but what exactly, we have to wait.
What sparked your interest in ancient aliens and all of this?
Well, this is something that I would have to say thank you to my grandma and my mom. My grandma, would exchange bedtime stories when I was 5 years old, and instead of reading the normal stuff, she would read Chariots of the Gods. So she planted the seed fairly early in my life. But also my mom, I remember when I was 5, 7, 8 years old, she would say, "Look around you, kid. All the cars, the planes, the buildings, it's all been here before," in her opinion. And I never quite understood what she meant, but she was referring to the ancient astronaut theory. And so then when I was 14, 15, I stumbled across the books by Eric von Daniken, and the rest, as they say, is history. Channel.
Did you ever have a chance to meet Eric?
Oh my gosh, yes, yes, of course. I mean, We are to this day deeply, deeply connected. He has been my mentor for the past 35 years. I have published his magazine and many adventures on ancient aliens I've actually done with Eric von Daniken. I mean, one of the episodes we went to Romania to explore the so-called Wedge of Ayud, which is this 50,000-year-old aluminum object with pure aluminum. It's aluminum that we would need machines today to replicate. And here we have that thing in Romania, and it's still a giant mystery how that wedge was created because it's pure aluminum, which, really does not exist, especially in ancient times.
Yeah, and the world is full of things like this that we can't explain. And I've always thought, and maybe incorrectly, that, there was a civilization here long before, we crawled out of the muck and the mire. And, what was left behind is all this amazing stuff that we're now just beginning to understand.
Right. And, it's also interesting to me that had you told me 30 years ago that one day there will be hearings on UAPs and UFOs in the halls of US Congress, I'd be like, that would be lovely, but it'll never happen. And here we are. Just last week, we had the third congressional hearing about UFOs, in which they showed some really, really incredible footage by the Navy. And so, I cannot tell you, or I really cannot express how awesome it is and wonderful to see that you no longer have to whisper or hold your hand in front of your mouth to when you want to talk about aliens. We are out, we are proud, and we can talk about aliens finally
You
without
know,
being laughed at.
and this exonerates a lot of people from the 1940s and 50s who were, told they were crazy, they were seeing things and all of that. Now that gives credence to what they were seeing in the skies.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, in 2017, when the Pentagon papers were leaked in December, you know, all these heritage programs of crash retrieval systems, of UFO investigations, Project Blue Book, et cetera, which the US government for decades has flat out denied.
Mm.
Well, in 2017, December, it turns out that no, there's no denial anymore. Yes, these things happened, and the U.S. government agreed or says yes, absolutely. And so, why did they try to suppress this knowledge? Well, often we're told it's because the people cannot handle the idea of being alone in or not being alone in the universe. And I would have to disagree with this because right after those Pentagon papers were leaked, business went on as usual. It's not like the whole planet panicked or people stopped going to work on Monday just because aliens exist. I mean, the fact that aliens exist, all of us, including you, me, everyone, we still have to go to work and pay our bills, and put food on our table. So, no, people really thought, some thought that if you were to release the knowledge that ETs not only exist, but by the way, they are here,
Yeah.
that the world or the population would panic. And I don't think that is the case. And it's because of the conditioning that we've experienced, which is disclosure with shows like Ancient Aliens, but also movies like Star Wars and Star Trek and series that has slowly conditioned all of us over the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years that, hey, we are not alone and we've never been alone. So we live in the most awesome and extraordinary of times, and it's really wonderful to be able to be alive and to witness all of this.
It's true. And as long as it's not a cookbook, we're okay. And
Right,
Giorgio, it's always a
exactly.
pleasure to chat with
Yes,
you.
likewise.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the tour.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye bye.